Thank you for subscribing to the Extra Mile Podcast. Help us out by leaving a review and a 5-star rating wherever you download the show. After leaving a review, slide on into our DMs over on social media at Mississippi DOT and let us know. As a thank you, we have compiled a Google Map list of all of our guests' favorite spots to eat on Mississippi highways. It is our gift to you. Seriously, you guys are the best. We could not do the show without you, and we greatly appreciate the support. Remember, drive smart out there on Mississippi highways.
MDOT presents the Extra Mile Podcast.
Welcome into the latest edition of the Extra Mile Podcast presented by the Mississippi Department of Transportation. I'm Paul Catul, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Will Kraft. And listen, no pressure today, Will, but we're mixing it up. We have a live audience here for today's recording. We are on the Mississippi Gulf Coast at the Mississippi Transportation Institute, and today's guest is Planning Division Director Evan Wright. Evan, thank you so much for the invitation and having us today at the conference.
Yeah, glad y'all could be here. Happy to be your guest.
Awesome. So let's just jump in. What is the Mississippi Transportation Institute? Where are we today? What are we doing?
So we are getting together, obviously a lot of governmental people here with MDOT. There's also a lot of contractors, a lot of engineering firms, as well as some of our legislators. We're here to talk transportation, to talk issues related to transportation, current issues. Just sat in a session on cybersecurity and AI and autonomous vehicles. Lots of interesting stuff there. Kind of some of the main themes of this conference are going to be dealing with alternate delivery, some of the new ways that we're going to be able to do contracting to hopefully speed projects along. So those are kind of some of the themes of this conference.
Very cool. So what about your role here and your involvement with MTI?
So hopefully everybody loves the technical sessions because I was drafted to put those together. So hopefully you enjoy them and get something good out of them. But that was my role this time.
Excellent. Well, somehow you managed to wrangle us for a technical session, so job well done there. Well, no kidding. We're very glad to be here. Love the idea of coming together and sort of trading best practices. Is that sort of how this came to be? I know you mentioned this was started way back in the 90s originally. I think maybe COVID and some other things sort of broke up that continuation, but what's the main, what are we getting together here for?
So one thing I can tell you is the last conference that we had last year, another kind of theme was the alternate delivery there, and we brought in some other states that spoke about their program, and then now we've had legislation changed to where we can start utilizing some of that. So it's kind of, again, talking about those current transportation topics, and just moving the needle on transportation in general.
What's maybe one of your favorite sessions that you've been a part of or that you scheduled?
So again, the autonomous vehicles and AI was very interesting. Ben Cohen, he is a little bit paranoid now about some of the cybersecurity things. It's kind of eye-opening to listen to how easy it is for people who know what they're doing to potentially, get in and do bad things. But one of those things is talking about AI being just more of a tool than necessarily changing the whole game of things. But that was very interesting.
What a time to be alive. It's crazy.
No doubt. Everybody is talking about AI these days. It's all around us. So let's get back to a little bit of your role at MDOT. So mentioned you're the Planning Division Director. What all does that entail?
How long do we have?
As long as you want, man.
Yeah.
We got a full hour.
Go for it.
Okay, so numerous times people are like, well, what does Planning Division do? And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to explain all of what we do, but we deal with a lot of federal programs, a lot of federal plans. We do a lot of reporting for federal programs and plans. We also do, as our name implies, planning. Typically it's long-range planning, so we're looking out into the future for like a feasibility study where we might be studying a corridor or sometimes like a county-wide plan. We're looking usually 20 years into the future. So any kind of solutions, whether it's a capacity issue, an operational issue, we don't really claim to be the safety division, but there are sometimes safety components to our studies, and we work with them closely. So any one of those solutions, but we want to make sure whatever is built, if it gets built, it works now as well as it works in the future. So that's we want to make sure that things are constructible and that they're not going to fail if the traffic actually does grow how we're projecting it to grow. Another thing we do, again, planning, long range planning. So we're actually we have a session going on right now about our long range plan. So again, that's looking at our statewide needs for funding, what the gaps are, and what we actually have to maintain our roads, to build new roads. It's multimodal, so what are the needs of ports, airports, rails, public transit, pedestrians, bikes. It looks at kind of all facets of transportation, and comes up with some potential ideas of how we could spend the resources that we do have, and then what resources we do need to meet all the needs that are out there. So let's see, where are we? All right, so now let's see what else is planned to do. So we do a lot of data collection as well. So if you're out there and driving over those tubes that you see on the road, that's probably us or one of our contractors counting traffic. That data is kind of used across MDOT to determine multiple things. So we use it in our studies, other divisions use it, pavement design. So that's kind of an integral part of what we do in planning. We also do kind of maintain our own, if you think of Google Maps,
Right.
We kind of have our own road network, has a lot of data that can sit on top of it, a lot of characteristics, so the number of lanes, the lane widths, shoulder types, that sort of information, as well as we call it administrative characteristics, so what the functional class is, which that basically comes down to how the road functions or how it might function if you did a project on it. So we maintain all of that data. We also have a little section called LTAP, which is the Local Transportation Assistance Program. So they provide training to both MDOT and to governmental entities on everything from basic supervisory skills to bucket truck operations, chainsaw safety, and various other classes that those entities might request. So I am quite certain that I've missed some stuff that we do, but that is a lot of what we do.
Y'all are pretty involved with the new highway map also, correct?
That is correct. And I guess a little teaser, we kind of have redone a section of that.
You heard it here first.
The back of the map now has, we'll call them strip maps, if you will, but it's more of a linear representation of the interstates showing the different exits and the distances between. So hopefully that's a useful product that, again, we talk about people not using paper maps anymore, but if we're still going to produce them, we want them to be, as useful as possible. So hopefully that's a cool feature that people will use.
The maps, they don't lose their cell phone charge. So go to gomdot.com/maps and order your new state map.
Somehow I broke the table clip here. We're just going to ignore that.
Roll with it.
It is pretty neat, though. If you have not seen those type of strip maps before, I'll be the guinea pig, I suppose. I did not know what I was looking at. It also helps when you have the legend to understand what you're looking at for the first time. I did not have that at the moment, but it does. Again, if you've seen these before, then it's nothing. But if you haven't, it's pretty neat how it shows exactly what you would be looking for when you're looking at the map, but in a much more digestible, sort of easy manner. I had never seen anything quite like it. And I definitely don't really use the fold-out maps as much, but I genuinely might grab a couple now just because of the strip map.
Yeah, and a shout out to our traffic engineering folks. They've already proposed some ideas for the next iteration when we print them again, so be looking out for that.
It's pretty neat, absolutely. You talked a lot about planning and what you do there. We've talked about kind of sort of MTI come together. One thing we did miss, your MDOT journey, sort of how you came into the role that you're currently in. How long have you been with MDOT now?
I believe I've got about 16 and a half years with MDOT. A little bit longer than that if you count some time while I was in college, but 16 and a half years in the retirement system is what's important. But
what's that journey been? Where'd you start?
So I've been in planning division exclusively. Started working there on contract in college. Started doing just kind of CAD map editing, moved into GIS data editing. I did that a couple summers in a row, really enjoyed it. Obviously loved the people that I worked with. At the time, I was actually mechanical engineering, and I believe it was Jeff Ely who was like, hey, if you switch to civil, we can probably hire you when you graduate. And I was like, well, that sounds like a great deal. So anyway, I did switch to civil engineering, finished that at Mississippi State, then came to work in planning division. Started out doing GIS, mapping, databases, that kind of thing, which is what I know the most about. The other facets of planning I've had to learn, but thankfully we've got, a really good crew that know much more than I do about the other things that we do. But anyway, so I've worked in planning division, and then I guess it's been 6 years ago next month that I've been
Congrats.
the state planning engineer or planning division director. So it's been a fun ride. Looking forward to the future. Again, we got a good crew with us now. Anybody looking to join planning division, we do a lot of interesting things, so come on over.
Along those lines, we ask this a lot of the internal guests on the podcast. So if you're, graduating in May or, looking for a job, what's kept you at MDOT so long, and what's kind of unique about the agency?
Well, the cliche, we're a family, is going to come out now, but it really is, it is the case. Again, I was fortunate. I had the same boss for probably, I guess it was 14 years or so. I had, great people to work with. And again, I enjoy what I do genuinely. Again, I don't get to do as much of the technical things as I used to. Occasionally dabble in it, but it's good when everybody is working together on kind of the same mission, especially when things that you do are used by other people. So I feel like, again, a lot of what planning division does, whether it's a study that we've done however many years ago, the project is finally getting built, or we, move things through the process, whether it's some of the data that we use or create is being used by somebody else. Again, you're actually making a contribution, not just to MDOT, but to the state. So I think that's, it's very rewarding to, accomplish things.
No doubt.
Couldn't agree more. I would just mention that I think it's starting to become a recurring thing, but every episode we talk to our internal folks, and I promise you, those listening out there, that it is not something we're going over or rehearsing at all, and continues to be said about the family atmosphere and looking out for one another and pulling in the same direction. Again, that's not a conversation we're having before at all, but you can see it's true. It comes out in the way that every one of our guests usually present that info. If you're looking for a spot to work and maybe you've had bad experiences elsewhere or something, we're always hiring. Come hit us up. Careers, give us the tag, Paul. You're always good at this.
Oh, yeah. Know all the websites. Visit gomdot.com/careers, and it's really simple, easy to use portal. You can find all the jobs we currently have. Come and work at the DOT, as Sharon
right.
says.
That's right.
Yeah, I will say, I guess one thing that brings that home is obviously I got 3 kids, and for all 3 of them, there was an awesome baby shower that was put on by people that I work with, and, you see that in every division. It's not exclusive to planning. Obviously, we do maybe the best job, but it's, every division does that for all their employees, and we really do look out for each other. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Even selfishly speaking here, we check in. Me and Drew rode down today. We have 2 little ones, so we got to exchange some war stories on what his 10-month-old is getting into these days. Love my job, love the workplace for sure. Paul, anything else before we get into the fun questions here?
I think that's it. How many people are in the planning division?
So we got, I say 30 plus, because that's about where we are. We do have, I did fail to mention, we do have a field crew section that they actually go out and maintain our permanent traffic counters that we have throughout the state. So that is another aspect of planning that most people, even I, forgot about, but does a lot of very important work.
Shout out to the field crew.
Yeah, shout out to the field crew.
Well, I think that's about it on the technical side of thing. Let's have some fun, Will. What we got?
Absolutely. So, if you've ever watched an episode, we love to talk about food and music just as much as we love to talk about anything else. We like to eat as a podcast and as a people. So, with that being said, is there a spot? I'll take the food one. Maybe local Jackson area, something close by that you can get to often that you would say is a favorite. And the flip side of that, a spot maybe not close by, but man, anytime you're in the area or that neck of the woods, you got to go by.
All right, so close by in Jackson, without a doubt, Kerlaki's in Ridgeland.
Really? Okay.
I get their gyro The family gets their burgers. Highly recommend both, but their fries are fantastic.
I will agree with you there. I'm not a big Euro guy, but I did love the fries.
Yes, fantastic. Somewhere I don't get to very often, I guess Starkville, the grill, maybe just fond memories there. I will say shout out to, I think it's Burger maybe down here on Howard Avenue. Had a good burger.
Burger?
Burger.
All right, we'll have to check that. Add it to the list there, Drew.
He's going to do it. All right, so besides food, like Will was saying, we love music. Shout out to Michael Flood, Anna Ergott. Will joined us at a concert the other day. We love music, so we want to hear our guests, what kind of music they listen to. Tell us about a concert you've been to in the past that stuck out. It could have been 2 weeks ago, could have been 15 years ago.
Definitely was not 2 weeks ago. Probably more than the 15 years ago.
Fair enough.
I was trying to remember who all I went and saw in Memphis in May. I used to go to that fairly often. It always rained. Anybody who's ever been, it's probably rained on you. But not at Memphis in May, but at the Mud Island Amphitheater, went and saw a Cowboy Mouth, and that was like, I'm not a huge Cowboy Mouth fan, but it was just a fantastic live show. I will say from probably one of my favorite bands from the past, Beth and Ezra, used to kind of follow them around a little bit.
I recognize that one. There we go.
Yeah.
So anyway,
90s.
But yes, definitely have not been to a concert in a while.
Fair enough. Well, you'll have to join the Public Affairs concert crew that is coming up. Evan.
I was going to say, we're determined to go over to Brandon Amphitheater and do a podcast, and we keep talking about them on the on the show and whatnot. But at some point we're going to get out there and listen to their music too one day.
Yeah, fantastic venue. Evan, thank you so much for the invitation, having us to the conference. We'll go ahead and wrap things up right now. Thank you to everybody here, the live audience that showed up. Thank you to our listeners, our viewers, for tuning into Extra Mile Podcast. You can watch and listen to episodes by visiting gomdot.com/The Extra Mile. Follow us on social media. @Mississippi DOT is the handle. We want to thank our editor-producer, Drew Hall, for holding things down behind the scenes. And remember to drive smart out there on Mississippi highways.